Now these people are saying that fathers are unnecessary. But is that so? Okay friends, welcome to Look and Live. You are now here with Pastor James Devalon. In today's video, we are going to respond and react to Sydney Watson. Thank you for sending me this on my Discord channel. You know who you are. Appreciate you for that. I've been checking out some of her contents. Hey, she's got something to say. So in today's video, it is apparently fathers are unnecessary. We're going to listen to the argument, pause and react along the way, and make some serious remarks as well. Let's take a listen.
You don't need a father. You can just procreate with yourself. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to my channel. In my adventures of the internet, I found this picture and then subsequently posted it to my Instagram where you guys got very upset about it. I personally was a little bit taken aback by the fact that it just didn't seem like fathers were represented at all on these magazine covers. Which is funny considering the title of the magazine is Parents. Because you know, traditionally parents involved men. Maybe they should rebrand to Parent. Perfect.
That's a good observation. I get the feeling there is a movement out there seeking to get rid of men, fathers, from the life of their children.
Some of you also pointed out to me that there seem to be no black people on these covers either, so I guess there's that too. So because I didn't take the original photo myself, I actually just went and looked up the magazine covers because I wanted to see if what was depicted in the photo I posted was actually the case. And it was. As it turns out, the majority of these covers...
Let's look at these covers. The majority of these covers have no men in them. So there are two with men. There's a guy here. There's one here. And then everyone else, there's no men. It's strange.
Mostly just featured single mothers with children or just children on their own. I counted about 64 covers, and of those 64, only about 5 actually featured a male and or a nuclear family.
That's a big problem. You're talking about parents, but the male figure is not present. Barely.
Not including the gay couple from the latest feature, because you know, I'm a bigot. 5, from a magazine called Parents. Love it. So I went to their website in search of more fathers. Parents magazine helps mums and dads. Dads? Well, that's a surprise to us all. Here I was thinking in 2019, children were conceived using essential oils. Get with the times, Parents magazine. Fathers died out in the 80s. Sorry, let's continue. So the magazine helps navigate every aspect of parenthood from pregnancy through the school years. We get to the heart of the latest news and recommendations on kids' health, safety, nutrition, behavior, and more to give parents the tools to raise healthy and happy children. So I think by now the bulk of you who have followed me for a little while know that I am not the kind of person who's going to sit here and be like, this is discrimination, because I just don't see the world through that lens anyway. But the reason I am bringing this up and the reason I wanted to make a video about it is because it seems like fathers are becoming less and less important and more obsolete in the modern world.
That is actually a true thing here we're talking about. And I actually preached a message earlier today at a church in Philly. And that was my talk. We need the fathers back into the home. That is what's killing our society. It's hurting us really, really bad. And we think by getting rid of the men, the fathers in the home, we are helping our society. No, we are hurting our society. We're hurting our young men. And we are reaping the consequences, I think we are.
Or at least that's how it seems publicly. And when they are being discussed, at least observationally, it seems like we discuss fathers in a pretty negative way, or at least in the way that indicates they're imparting bad values onto their children. I mean, a really recent example of this is the Gillette ad that came out.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
Shut up, Gillette. Nobody even invited you. Sorry, I invited Gillette. Even last week, I found this article. Father of three, 31, devastated over not seeing his children enough following his marriage breakdown, takes his own life after sneaking out of the hospital. A young father of three was so heartbroken by the breakup of his family that he snuck out of a hospital and took his own life. Breeze Montenero, 31, died alone in his flat in Perth on Monday, having not seen his sons, aged 11 and 12, and a 9-year-old daughter since Christmas. He felt like he had lost everything and was living in a nightmare that was never going to end, his grieving mother, Beverly Bell, told Daily Mail Australia. The super sad thing about this...
There is a constant repetition of this. This happened even in my hometown, where I had to facilitate the funeral of a friend that this had happened to. What am I saying? I get the sense that fathers are not appreciated. Fathers are heavily under attack in our society. And it's not a good thing. I think our young men and our young women are paying the price. And our society is in a very bad place because of how much fatherhood has been deteriorated over time. We are paying a big price for this.
Is that while this one happened to make the news, this story isn't even remotely uncommon. Even this article says that 60% of male suicides can be traced back to the breakdown of a relationship. I personally always knew that number to be about a quarter of male suicides being linked to parental alienation and relationship breakdown, but regardless if it's 25 or 60%, those numbers are ridiculously high. While on one hand, I think it's super necessary that stories like this make the news, on the other hand, it's really sad to me that a lot of people still don't care about what the justice system does to fathers and what relationship breakdown does to fathers. And there's really no support systems for them out there.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here!
Some of you...
She's telling the truth, you know that, right? When a father goes to the court system, right, after a breakup, trying to get custody of his son or daughter, 90% of the time, who wins the fight?
In Australia might remember back in 2017 and before that, there was the argument put forward that we need to change Father's Day to Special Persons Day.
Let's turn now to the push to rename Father's Day Special Persons Day so children without a dad aren't offended. A growing number of politically correct schools and kindies are embracing the name change, but they're copping a lot of criticism for it. Now, earlier...
Leave us alone. Give us a break. How come they don't do this with Mother's Day? Anyway...
I spoke with Dr. Red Ruby Scarlett, a university academic and convener of the Social Justice in Early Childhood activist group.
I'm just wondering if maybe we could build some sort of, I don't know, feminist compound on Pluto and just send them there.
Well, Red, firstly, thank you very much for your time. Look, what is the argument for having Special Persons Day rather than Father's Day?
Thank you for having me as well. If we think about children's rights and how they get to participate in a community and feel a sense of belonging, sometimes shifting the language around those emotive and important days can be significant and more inclusive than the current way that we describe them.
First of all, Father's Day is one of the very least respected day in our culture already. Which to me, it doesn't matter because my value and respect as a father does not depend on a specific day that the world sets apart to remind me that I'm a father. My worth comes from my relationship with God, and my children know that I love them. But the thing is simply this: to take away more from the fathers, to add to a special person day and not giving those fathers, respect, because while we have some horrible fathers in this world, we have some pretty decent ones as well. And I think the ones that are doing what they should do as fathers, at least are trying to be the best father that they could be, we should give them some respect. These people are really disrespectful. Anyway, nevertheless, that's the way of the world.
There's that word, inclusivity. Why don't y'all just sprinkle us with some inclusivity while you alienate half the population? Just love it. Some of you also might remember a series of videos that were released basically titled...
By the way, I love Sydney Watson. She reminds me of JP, but a female version of JP. She's got jokes. Anyway, let's keep going.
Happy Father's Day, Mom.
She really is like the most amazing mother, but she was really an incredible father. Like truly incredible.
Happy Father's Day, Mama.
Happy Father's Day, Mom.
Oh, Mom. Happy Father's Day.
This is
Happy Father's Day, Mom. I spoke about this with my wife and also my friend Darth Vader and Mr. Mo. We had a nice live stream where we discussed some of this, and the video is in the channel as well. You can find it. Happy Father's Day, Mom. What kind of nonsense is that? Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of amazing mothers out there who are doing the best they can as single parents to raise their children. And they deserve the respect. They deserve love and recognition. But they are not fathers. They may have played a role of a father in the best way that they can, but they are still not fathers. It's like, what is a woman argument kind of thing, you know? I don't know. But it's so arguing. It's so it's disturbing to watch. Fathers needs their recognitions as well. The mothers who are doing the best that they can as single parents, I take my hats off to you. Thank God for you. It is a hard and difficult thing to raise children on your own. I can only imagine. But you're not a father. And it's not good for a woman to accept this title either. It strips her of her role, and he places a different burden on her shoulder that does not need to be there. Anyway.
your last warning, feminists. If you keep acting like this, I will turn this era around and we will go back to the 1950s. Because you know, Mama Sydney don't play. Well, I'm personally really happy seeing people thanking their mum for being their dad. It just goes to show, in a couple years, we can just make babies with ourselves. Even as far back as 1999, a paper published by the American Psychological Association claims that neither mothers nor fathers are essential to child development, and that responsible fathering can occur within a variety of family structures. The article concludes with alternative recommendations for encouraging responsible fathering that do not discriminate against mothers and diverse family forms.
This is nonsense. They are tearing apart the family structure, and they think this is good. Look at the results. Look at these young men that we now have in our society. Look at the condition of our young women. It is the brokenness that is happening in the home. That is the result of that.
Much as it pains me to say, this is not a new concept. This is not a new idea. When you compound this information with all these new attacks on traditional masculinity or just masculinity in general by calling it toxic and other fun names, it's very, very unsurprising to me that we would start to see fatherhood and fathers begin to be phased out, at least in the public sense. The thing that's really sad and funny at the same time about this is you can legitimately go to Google and type in things like, "Our fathers are necessary?" and you'll get a bunch of hits and articles that basically talk about how fatherhood is not essential to childhood development.
The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar.
But what's weird is that when you research the same thing in relation to mothers, very little comes up. Unsurprisingly, and also biologically correct, mothers are seen as an integral part of childhood development, because they are. Mothers are the first people who teach you as a young person that it is entirely possible to make someone so angry they contemplate legitimately
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
putting you in the bin. Just in the trash. Go away, child. I am not even kidding. That first time you register that look on your mom's face as like legitimate anger, you know you done goofed. You know that death is imminent. But anyway, contrary to the way that we think about motherhood, the way that a lot of people write about fathers indicates that they are obsolete. 2 years ago, columnist Maureen Dowd of the New York Times drew fire from a variety of people, men and women alike, with her controversial new book asking, "Are men necessary?" It's a valid question. Are men important only for the purpose of procreation? This article in and of itself is fairly supportive of men, but the fact that it legitimately says it is a valid question to ask, are men necessary, is crazy to me. You would just never see that written about women. You would never see the question, are women necessary? And
That's a good point. You will never see that. But if we're gonna, be fair, for the sake of argument here, shouldn't both sides be considered? Well, we know that women is necessary, so we're not even gonna talk about that. But when it comes to fathers, I'm just trying to fight for fathers here, okay? I'm just trying to fight for the lives of our fathers, because what happens to the fathers ultimately has an impact on the men in our lives. It has an impact on our girls in our lives. A broken home, broken family, a dysfunctional household, it just sets the stage for a lot of negativity to take place in the lives of our young men and young women, okay? So we need the fathers back. Now, I don't know how we're going to get them back. I can share some things at the end, but I'm just trying to say we need the fathers back home.
And then someone say, that's a valid question. Would never happen. You know what's a better, more valid question? Are you ready? Are you all insane?
That is a good question. That's what I like about her. She is... She makes a lot of sense to me. All right, let's keep going. The girl with the purple hair is back.
Person who's insane here, Sydney, is you. And that's just because you love the patriarchy. You traitor. So I guess the question here for me is, why are fathers being slowly pushed out of the equation? And why are all these loud, screamy, annoying liberal voices seemingly also attacking the nuclear family?
Well, it's more than just liberal and leftists and worksters and so on. This is a spiritual move, okay? Getting rid of the father is the plan of the devil. It has been the plan from the beginning, okay? It has always been. Getting rid of the men has always been the plan that the devil had in store, all right? Adam and Eve situation. Eve was deceived and she was used to get to her husband. We can go on and on, but the point is, society from the very beginning of time has always had an issue with men. Now, I know the patriarch and those who are abusing their authority. I am not speaking about these men. And again, this has been a plan and is being carried out perfectly.
Dr. Warren Farrell, who is a wizard, wrote a book called The Boy Crisis and also did a TED Talk that I watched not long ago. And he said some really important things about fatherhood, fathers, and how all of that relates to young boys.
Now here's the key. The big divide is between the welfare of boys in these two groups who have minimal or no father involvement, what I call dad-deprived boys, versus the welfare of boys whose fathers remain significantly involved, what I call dad-enriched boys. There are more than 70 ways I've found in the research for the boy crisis that boys who are dad-deprived are in fact deprived. In contrast, boys who are dad-enriched do better in school even when they come from poorer areas with lower-ranked schools.
These are the facts. I can look at my own life and say, man, had my father been present, I can only imagine how much farther I would have been in life, how much of a better father I would have been to my children, my career, my life decisions, my life with my wife, relationship with my children. And it's just that the impact is serious, man. God has done an amazing work in this guy here, but I can only imagine how much more of a better man I would have been if I haven't had my father present in my life. He's a great dad. We have a good relationship together now, but when I needed him when I was young, he was not around, unfortunately, you know. So I know what that's like, and I've suffered many of these things that he's talking about here.
They have less ADHD and more empathy. Yes, actually, dad involvement leads to an increase in empathy. Dad deprivation, on the other hand, is the greatest predictor of a boy committing suicide.
Wow.
Or taking drugs. Dad-deprived boys are much more likely to drink excessively, be bullies, to drop out of school, to be alienated, to be rudderless. But now the boys who are hurting us, we're taking note. Dad deprivation is common to 26 out of 27 of the mass shooters who have killed 8 or more people.
That is a huge number here. 26 out of 27 dad deprivation is common in these mass shooters.
So we have an expert here who is not too dissimilar to other experts in the same field who do say that fathers are very important to the behavior, the emotional stability, and the general growth of children. They are the people who inform the way that a lot of children turn out. And also mothers do that too. But fathers do it as well. A lot of people have made the connection between fatherlessness and people growing up to commit serious crimes, or even young people during their adolescence committing serious crimes. In a very simplistic way, these examples legitimately demonstrate to us that fathers are a fairly intrinsic part of the development of a child, which is obviously backed up by a lot of statistical data. So the question remains, why are fathers being pushed out? And why, at least in a public sense, is there this undercurrent that fathers negatively impact their children and negatively impact the people around them? Or, in the very least, why are fathers unnecessary? Fathers used to be viewed as the pillar of the family, the person who was always strong, who could be resilient, who would impart those values on the children, and who could also be the person that everyone could turn to in times of need. Now, it's fairly possible to say that fatherhood is viewed as something fairly negative that can impart toxic masculinity on little boys, and be a predator towards little girls and help them grow up to be daddy's little stripper. Don't yell at me for that one, because sometimes it's true. A lot of people have pointed out that young boys in particular are raised solely by mothers, whether that be at home or in the schooling environment, and a lot of those young people have still turned out to be fairly deviant anyway. Believe it or not, there's some statistical data out there that says overbearing mothers create serial killers and mega criminals. So there's that. No, mums, I am not having a go at you. Please don't yell at me. A bunch of studies conducted in Scandinavia in relation to paid paternal leave for fathers basically said that these fathers, when they stay home with their children, mean that their kids actually perform better in school. These kids end up much more stable, and they actually have better social skills. And obviously, mums are amazing as well. They literally incubate a human.
And more.
That's a lot. Sydney, it's amazing to me how you don't understand how biology works. Women don't carry and incubate children. That's disgusting. We just clone them from another feminist egg. I don't like the fact that we are heading down this road that basically says that we can always celebrate the achievements and the amazingness of mothers, but we cannot do the same thing for fathers. I don't like the fact that it seems like we don't respect the necessity and the importance of fathers in a child's life. Because, like I said, there is lots of data out there that says it's incredibly important for children to have both a strong male and female figure. The worst thing about this attack on fathers is it just legitimately makes no sense. Fathers have been around since legitimately forever, because last time I checked, it still takes a man and a woman to make a tiny human. So to suddenly start saying that fathers are unnecessary or obsolete is kind of ridiculous. I think this anti-male, anti-father attitude is partially what informs the justice system in the West, which is why we often see fathers having their children taken away from them and the mother automatically assumes care, which is a totally separate issue all on its own. So at least in my humble opinion, I think that fathers are incredibly important to the development of children, but also to the functionality of society in general. And I think that it is very remiss to start suggesting that fathers can simply be replaced by whoever and whatever in the right environment and kids will turn out perfectly fine. Because it is through my observation that I would say that kids are not turning out perfectly fine with the way that we are slowly eroding the mother and father figures in this society. So while academics and liberals and really loud feminists like to tell us that fathers and masculinity are very much not okay, let me just verify this for a second and tell you that they are. And you know, dads are pretty cool because they're the people that let you eat the ice cream when your mum said no. Among other things, like helping you with your homework and not letting you get eaten by giant Australian spiders. And all that other stuff too, like loving you and imparting good values on you. And those things. Anyway, what do you guys think? Why do you think that there is this attack on masculinity and fathers going on? And do you think that we are really looking towards the destruction of the nuclear family and the general family unit? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just don't be rude about it. And I will see you guys next time. Sydney, what are you talking about? Women don't incubate and have babies. Ew. They actually just get dropped to us from the supreme leader in the sky, the overlord feminist god.
All right, let's talk about Ukraine now. Maybe you were paying.
Well done, Sydney, on this one. Certainly appreciate you. Why do I think fathers are under attack? Well, first of all, being a Christian is the devil's plan. It's always been, okay? It's the devil's plan to deteriorate the family. Getting rid of the father from the very beginning has always been the goal. You know, the father represents God in the home. I'm saying represents, I'm not saying he's God. Even God himself takes on the name Father, right? And I think Satan has always hated God. Ever since his fall, he can't stand God. By attacking the fathers, destroying the family, that is a way that he destroys the image of God in men. Because you remember that in Genesis that it was both the male and the female that came together to create or to reflect the image of God. So this has been an attack on the fathers and as well as the sons and the mothers as well. Unfortunately, many women, many mothers do not realize how significant it is for them to encourage fathers to be fathers and to give them the opportunity to be fathers. Now, if the relationship is not working, that is one other situation we need to talk about. But as far as not giving some fathers an opportunity to be fathers, it's not right either. And I cannot speak to your situation personally because I don't know what's going on. There are some men who are just not good fathers. Some of them are just, I get it. All right. Somebody else has to come in and take their place. But one thing that the Bible wants to do, God wants to do, is to restore what is going wrong in the home. He says one of the messages in the last days, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. What will he do before Jesus comes? He shall turn the heart of the fathers to their children and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Amazing. The message that God has to deal with this is to turn the hearts of the fathers. This is known as the Elijah's message. It's not just a matter of prophecy and so on in biblical knowledge. Fathers' hearts are being separated from their children, particularly among their young men. And we see this being displayed in our cities today. Many of those who are part of gangs and crimes and so on, they came from broken home. They are without a father. And they are making decisions because they did not have this positive influence in their lives. We need to pray for fathers. We need to uplift fathers. And we need to pray for the message of truth to come to you. If you happen to be a father and your son or your daughter is still around, you don't have a good relationship with them, I would say pray and start working on that, because they need you. If you are a son or a daughter and you don't have a good relationship with your father, or whatever the reason it may be, ask God for the heart to forgive and also work on building that relationship with your father. You're gonna need that. That's my perspective on that. Until next time, remember, and as always, look unto Jesus, live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.